What's something stupid an adult told you as a child that you discovered was totally not true? That I was smart, when in reality I am just not stupid. Thunder is the sound of two clouds bumping into each other. As a kid, my dad told me his Phi Ed teacher made him write a 10-page essay about his shoelaces as punishment. It must have been coercion for me to behave myself. I asked him about it as an adult, and he had no idea what I was talking about. Hey there, are you subscribed yet? Please do. Also leave a like on this video to help out the channel. That if you shave your beard grows thicker. My dad told me the vacuum would suck up my toes. I know that won't happen, but I still wear slippers when I vacuum. That if you leave a Google window open and idling on your desktop, it exclusively leaves your computer open to internet hackers. The ice cream truck music turns on when they're out of ice cream. My mom told me that dog poo makes you go blind if you get too close to it. I guess as a curious toddler infant I was interested in dog poo, ha ha ha. We were guilt-tripped in our church. They told us we should be able to hear God's voice. If we couldn't, we had to pray harder to remove all sin from our life. I remember being at a 24/7 prayer camp then ran for a week. I remember sitting there for about 4 hours. Finally an aide asked me if I could hear God yet. I told him no. He said I wasn't praying hard enough and I hadn't revealed all my sins to God yet. I was done with church after that trip. I'm glad you are enjoying this video. Before we continue, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment. That hanky panky Shanghai is Chinese for happy birthday to you. I still cringe at how I probably sung that song to Asian, not even Chinese people, proud to know Chinese. Asterisk sutters at the racism, asterisk. My face still hasn't stuck that way forever. Any food my mother wanted to keep all to herself, she told me it had alcohol in it, so as a child I couldn't have any. Snow Caps candy, Golden Graham cereal, cheesecake, the list goes on. Some of them I figured out early on that she was lying, other foods I didn't figure out until embarrassingly late in my childhood, like early teens. Every time you run west you slow the Earth's rotation a little bit and the moon moves further away. I attended my first funeral when I was 6. I was okay with it, but afterwards I asked my mom if that really was a dead person that we saw laying in the open casket. Fearing I might have nightmares, she said it was a wood carving. For years I believed there were people at the funeral home that made wood carvings of dead people's faces. My sister told me not to wash your hair on your periods. Apparently it is unhealthy. She is 37 and still believes it. High school is the best years of your life. The hell it is. F that entire decade between 8 and 18. They're some of the most uncomfortable, challenging, and difficult years of a human life. It gets way better in the 20s and 30s, though still challenging in some ways. If you peak at 16, you're selling yourself so short. Toy stores are closed on Saturdays. That we'd need cursive for the rest of our lives. They banned cursive by the 4th grade. You're not always going to have a calculator with you. Hee hee. Why has nobody in this thread mentioned the cab light in cars? We were all told it was illegal to turn on the light. That kids weren't magically delivered by God when two people married. Everything was black and white in the 1950s. He teases you because he likes you. Wrong, he teased me because he was a bully. Get good grades in school and you'll succeed in life. Every time I asked my grandmother to play when I was little, she said she couldn't because she has a bone in her leg. That high school is worse than middle school. Middle school is totally worse. That if I used a lot of technology during the day, I'd get nightmares. That studying hard will pay off and that people get what they deserve. It can happen, but it's not nearly as guaranteed as people made it sound. That words very rarely have a double P in them and that comeuppance is not a word and I must have made it up, thanks, 4th grade teacher. You can be anything you want. I hate it when people say that because the truth is that most of the time you really can't do what you want to do. You're just not born with the skills. Listen to adults, they know better. 4th teacher told the class that eyes of Asian people are shaped the way they are because of squinting during blizzards. High school would be the best years of my life. Transformers live on the moon. Female school nurse, when you're an adult, you won't be able to go home from college or work when you have your period. Joke's on her, college doesn't give a shit and work has these things called sick days. If you're nice to someone, they'll be nice to you. If you play an instrument of any kind during the middle of the night, that it will attract ghosts and demons. Sister Mary Ellen, you'll pick up bad habits by watching the *Three Stooges*. Dad pushes console TV to face the dining room so as 5 kids can watch the Three Stooges during dinner. So many things, like friends, could never be as important as family. Yeah, no, just because you don't have any friends, Mom, you don't get to be dissin' ma homies. I had a female science teacher once tell the class that girls don't fart. In retrospect I think she was kidding, but duck me for believing my science teacher, I guess. Anyway, fast forward to my late teens and I finally had a girlfriend fart in front of me. And I was like, WTF was that? That my father abandoned me and refused to talk to my mother over child support when he didn't even know I existed for 13 years. You'll catch a cold if you go out dressed improperly. No, Mom, being cold doesn't create the cold virus, it might make a cold I already have worse, though, which is probably where that comes from. Cows were killed by sex electrocution. My GF dad had a nice laugh about that one 20 years later. 90% of what I was told turned up to be crap. I went to a private Christian elementary school and for a few years in high school. They showed us this total horseshit video about the evils of rock and roll called Hell's Bells. The older I got and the more I listened to the music and made up my own mind, the more ridiculous the claims that movie made. I can't believe they played that piece of propaganda crap to us, unchecked. Asterisk, it's impossible to urinate with an erection. Elementary school health teacher asterisk, if you start shaving now, it'll grow back way quicker and thicker. My dad, when I was 15 rocking the nastiest weak stash you've ever seen. Secretly bought a razor and shaved it off at 17. I'm 27 now and still only have to shave once every 3 to 4 days. Asterisk, they'll definitely take him there on a school field trip eventually, don't waste your money. My aunt, talking my mom out of taking me to a local tourist attraction I always wanted to go to as a child. Still have never gone. Life gets better and easier when you grow. Most things. The adults in my life were children of high school freshman age. Black people are that color because God left them in the oven for too long. If you watch The Simpsons, you'll become rude to adults. Too much adult stuff on cable TV. One consequence of this is having kids watch bad shows instead, and wonder why kids have terrible taste in TV shows. Like only allowing your kids to watch Kids Bop and complaining that kids have terrible taste in music. That life gets better, because it hasn't. If I swallowed gum it would stay in my stomach. That I can do anything if I just put my mind to it. I guess it's not totally a lie, but it takes way more than just wanting it badly enough. You gotta put in the work and the effort. You also need to be able to afford schooling for a lot of what people want to do. I was told by one of the nuns that if I keep talking, the tongue fly will land on my tongue. One of the ballsier kids said, the flies must be following you. When she gave him the spiel. If you think the food will taste good, it will taste delicious. He said that, but then some time later I tasted these mini cheese wheels with the highest of expectations, tasted like dog shit despite my high hopes. If you go close to a girl, she will be pregnant. Now I know that you actually have to go inside and unleash stuff to really make her pregnant. Everything will be okay. If you cross your eyes they'll stick. Also that asparagus grows in your mouth haha. Respect your elders. I've since modified that to respect everyone. Until they prove they're not worthy. That leaving my bed unmade in the morning was disrespectful to my country, followed by a little spiel about how soldiers always make their beds because they are patriotic. Well, not only did that never stick, but years later I parsed out why soldiers always made their beds, because there was a good chance they wouldn't be coming back to them, and someone else could be sleeping there by the end of the day. That I'd grow to be a happy and successful adult. In my 9th year of school the textiles teacher said that your exams for this class are going to follow you for the rest of your life. Suffice to say no subsequent college or workplace has ever asked me about my textiles results. My older brother told me that mom made me live in the chicken coop for 2 weeks. And I believed him, despite having no memory of the event. Booey, was I mad at her? That only not a good girls shave above the knee. I was 11. Those smokestacks on factories don't actually make the clouds. A grade 5 teacher explained to our class that there were something like 4 or 5 distinct races of humans with varying traits, intelligence, strength, etc. Basically Caucasian, Afro-American ID, Mongoloid, and maybe Australian Aboriginals. I went on to do my undergrad in biology and found out that that system was incredibly outdated and false. That police are there to help you. We should teach our kids the truth, cops view us all as paychecks. Good things happen to good people. I would love to her she stabbed the person told me that dumbass phrase, cause it's something I try to live by instinctively and it's always hurt me. When you hear geese honking while flying, they're essentially calling for reinforcements to attack someone or something. My parents told me a haggis was a little animal. Then our Scottish principal started talking about it when I was 15 years old and suddenly realized I'd been duped. To be fair, haggis doesn't come up in conversation that often, and I don't really care what food is made of as long as it tastes good, which emo haggis does. That BC, after a year, stood for before counting. That teen years are the best years ever. Duck them years. My dad told me as a kid that the military couldn't draft me as I am an only child. Didn't know till years later that he was trying to disinterest me in the army, as he had joined at 16 instead of finishing school. He didn't want me to follow his same path, as he was embarrassed. He did go back and get his GED though at 46, never too late. The more times you masturbate or have X, the more your penis deteriorates. You start with a Ferrari as a penis, and as you use it, it turns into a Volkswagen Beetle. That I couldn't get into the university I wanted to go to because I didn't work hard enough. Well, I ended up getting in counselor long. Bitch.